I'm titling this video, I was ashamed to love poetry, because I was very ashamed. And it was something, well, we'll get into. In any case, this was going back to the year 2000. My best friend at the time, still is my best friend, uh, Roy, passed away in a car accident October 6th, 2000. And it just devastated me. Everybody who knew him and loved him, obviously, it's not hard. And it was like, an atom bomb had gone off inside of me, just eviscerating everything I thought, I believed, I knew. The year before he passed away, I was seriously entertaining joining a monastery. And then, so like, I was the pendulum. Basically, I went from like, ah, Ave Maria, till Roy dies, and boom, now I want to murder everything in sight. I became so angry. I can still like recall that anger and that hurt and that bitterness and that resentment, alienation, all of it. And like, that's when I started reading and writing. So it was almost like the very next day, I just overwhelmed, overcome by emotion, grief. I picked up a notebook and started setting my thoughts down. However, I felt so much shame because I felt so weak. It made me feel so weak. And I didn't want anybody to know about it. I really did come to poetry and literature in general, but poetry kicking and screaming, like really foaming at the mouth. It was something I didn't want to identify with. I resisted it big time. I was in denial. Seriously. I would I would read a poem or I would write, garbage. I wasn't writing anything great, but it was just like fucking vomiting all these words and emotions and whatever, and filled up like 7 notebooks that, I don't know, that first year. And it felt great. It felt so good. But again, it was troublesome because I didn't want to, I hated how good it felt. And in my mind, I think I associated writing with weakness, with like rock bottom. Like, goddamn, look at this motherfucker's writing in a notebook. Shit's shit's rough. Um, and I don't know if that's because I'm a first generation American. My parents are from El Salvador, and growing up in sort of environment I grew up in, it wasn't academic for sure. It wasn't literary. I didn't grow up seeing my dad read poems or my mom writing poetry. That wasn't a thing. I didn't see it. I fucking had a rack of uncles who came through the apartments. Had 2 older brothers. Uh, I was a normal kind of neighborhood kid. Wanted to be a Ninja Turtle and do backflips. I wasn't reading. So when I started to develop that interest in words, it was a problem for me at the time, at least, because it made me feel like something was wrong with me, and that I had been reduced to this. Oh my God, Marvin, your shit's so fucked up that you've got to actually set down your thoughts on blank pages. And that's how I felt at 19. I was, like I said, ashamed, exposed, but I couldn't stop. I fucking loved it. It was like a drug, a narcotic. It was an obsession. And so what did I do? I did what anybody who develops an addiction does. They start to hide it. I was hiding all my notebooks, all my books, all my shit from my family, which is funny to say, to hear out loud. Excuse me. But at the time, my brothers and I were living together, so I didn't have my own room, which is, I don't know why I didn't have my own room. But anyway, so I would wait till one of them was like watching TV in a different room, and the other one had gone out. Maybe he had to run out to like 7-Eleven or whatever, and that was my chance. Bust out my notebook, read whatever I was reading. It tended to be the beats at this point because they were more accessible to me. And and maybe I'll do a video on that later on. And I would just like get it in while I could. And then the moment I hear the car pull up or footsteps coming up the steps, I like fucking scramble, hide my notebooks, boom, 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 boom. My brother walked by, like, what up? What are you doing? You know? And I did that for a long time. I definitely didn't tell my friends. And like I said, it was like a terrible addiction that I was hiding from my family. This terrible secret because I didn't want to be perceived as weak. Now, the period I'm describing was only 4 months. Roy dies in October. From October to February, that's the period I'm talking about, where I couldn't stop writing, I couldn't stop reading, but I couldn't accept it either. I was kind of like, I was lost. I was crying all the time. It's one of the things when somebody dies and you're that young, all these questions that you tend to have to confront when you're older, when you start losing your buddies and, whatever. Suddenly they were like staring me nakedly in the face at 19. What happened to my buddy? I was just with him 12 hours ago. Fucking, he still got my weed. Like everything was just, what the fuck? How could he not be here? So writing definitely was helping me cope with that, try to make sense, impose some kind of order on this chaotic mess that was my grief. And it did. And so I did that for like 4 months. I was hiding. I would hide my notebooks. I bought a little Joan didn't 5-star mini notebook that I would walk around and hide in my pocket and go to work. If I heard a word I didn't know, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to write that down, sound it out, come back home, look it up in the dictionary. This is before iPhones, smartphones. I was like, I was passionate about it. But again, kind of like, I won't say anything. So that went on for 4 months. And then one day, it sounds dramatic as fuck, but it was. I was in the basement of my mom's house in February 2001, and I was reading Arthur Rimbaud, which I was pronouncing Rimbaud at the time because I'm from El Salvador. I didn't know. Fucking one day I was at a workshop and they're like, I think it's Rimbaud. I was like, Rimbaud, like the fucking machine gun dude? Okay. Fuck. Anyway, I was reading his letters when he was writing when he was like 15, 16. And the fucking confidence and the authority with which he would make statements. It just suddenly I felt this fucking like flaming arrow go through me. And I knew from that point on, I was going to be a poet. I had the unshakable faith, this is what I'm going to do in my life. Fuck you if you don't understand it. In fact, you don't even register on my radar right now. It was this like damn near religious experience that I had in that basement. And ever since then, poetry, writing, it's like a badge of honor. It defined who I am. It's giving me a reason to get out of bed before, my wife and kid, obviously, but throughout my 20s when I was still hurting, it gave me a sense of purpose. And I never felt so much confidence as when I would step into like a creative workshop class. You know how they sit you down in a circle and everyone's just kind of looking around. I'm like, I'm better than you, better than you. You might be trouble, better than you. I had this weird self like delusional sense that I was the best. And sometimes believing that makes the big difference, I suppose. Obviously I wasn't. Still haven't been published in, fucking all kinds of shit, but I'm trying and I'm never gonna stop. I love it. I fucking love it. My wife's a poet, it's given me everything. It's truly been a gift. I guess, yeah, basically at 19 I thought loving poetry and writing it meant that I was broken, that I was weak. To me, every time to this day, I have trouble writing in public. I don't do that. Very intimate. It feels very much like you're bearing your scars and you're kind of holding up a mirror to your face. It's all fucking crisscross like a goddamn pirate. And you're like, God damn, it's busted. But it felt like that. And it doesn't feel that way anymore. But at that age, it felt like I'm just exposing my pain and and it just made me feel weak, and I hated that feeling. I really did. So I resisted it. I didn't want to do it, but I couldn't stop. I really could not stop. And I knew I had a problem because I started telling myself, like, okay, I would start leaving work early just to get home to my notebooks. And I'd be like, okay, we're going to do this for like 45 minutes. And then you're going to put it away and it's okay. You don't have to worry about this. This is no big deal. And then 45 minutes would come and go like that. And it'd be like 2 hours. And I'd be like, oh my God, Dios mío, I've been here for fucking 3 hours. What does this mean? I was being lifted up big time. I was in a lot of pain, and I owe it everything, man. I really do. If you're a young person out there discovering that you're sensitive to the world around you and to books, I encourage you to just keep going, keep moving in that direction, because it will not fail you. Whatever you end up doing in life doesn't mean you have to become a writer, but whatever it is, it's going to serve you in good stead. It's going to feed your emotions. It's going to help you make sense out of heartbreak and grief and joy and life. And it's wonderful. Uh, it's a gift. It really is. And it's just so ironic that something that caused me so much confusion and vexation has become like the thing I lead with. I walk into a room, I'm like, I don't give a shit about your car. I don't give a shit about your fucking sports team. Who do you read? Oh, you don't read? We're probably not going to get along, straight up. And anyway, I'm a grub. I'm fucking mad hungry. I hope this can help somebody. And if you have felt ashamed loving poetry or writing it, make a comment, I guess, or reach out, and we'll shoot the shit. All right.